Hello everyone, I am Devasri with the talk of an interesting story from the Canterbury Tales, actually, The Knight's Tale. The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer begins the general prologue with a description of the knight, because the position of a knight at that time society was considered as a man of honor, loyalty also, and nobility. But in another side we can say it's for the suggesting idea of Harry Valley, who tries to find who was the first storyteller actually in the Canterbury Tales. In a touching process that Harry Valley founds the knight as the first storyteller. So before I start, I would like to provide some important points on it. So firstly, the knight. Who was the knight? The knight was one of the pilgrim among the 30 pilgrims in the Canterbury Tales. So knight was a nobleman, expert in expressing the stories also. The Knight's Tale has been taken from Boccaccio's Desidera. It's actually inspired Chaucer's Knight's Tale that tells of a paladin and architect. That's later we discuss on it. So now the point is Chaucer's Knight's Tale actually talk about the royal story of rivalry and romance that used by William Shakespeare. Shakespeare wrote the two noble kinsmen. That's the retelling of this Knight's Tale. So Two Novels Kingman is a dark comedy and also a Jacobean tragic comedy published in 1634. So the Knight's Tale is actually talks about Palamon and Arcite, both the person who fall in love with one girl and fight each other and result in death. So now let's see what actually happened inside the story. Before I start the tales, it's better to introduce the characters firstly, I think. So the characters in this tale, number 1, Theseus was a king in Athens, and number 2 is Hippolyta was the wife of Theseus, and number 3 is Emily who was the sister-in-law of Theseus. In the other two major characters, Palamon and Arcite, that the complete story actually based on them. And here we have some side characters like Creon and Jailer. Let's start our story, that the Knight's Tale. The knight actually tells the story of Palamon and Arcite, who was two cousins actually. So the knight actually starts his tale from Athens, where Theseus was a king. Once Theseus and his wife Hippolyta along with his sister-in-law Emily returned to the city. In the way they returned, they met some women that were crying for justice. So Theseus decided to help them in the way of justice, and he proved it truthfully also by kill to the Creon on a fight and helps the women in the way of justice. Now here actually is a twist in the story, that Palamon and Arcite, the who were alive, was two cousins taken by Theseus to the jail of Athens. Now what actually happens here, that the movement of Palamon and Arcite towards the jail of Athens is create a beautiful scenery in the story. In a morning when Palamon saw to Emily through the window, he fell in one-sided love with her. But before it, the two cousin brothers decide that they never fall in this type of matter. But now the situation stands against their decision, that the girl who Palamon loved one-sided, Arcite also fall in love with her, the same girl Emily. Now what happens here, that actually Arcite released from jail because with the thought that he never returned to the Athens. But in reality Theseus was wrong, because Arcite again came to Athens for love to Emily as a disguise. So if we look at another side of Palamon was in the jail. Now what he tries to do, Palamon absconded from jail in the semi-conscious condition of the jailer. Now in this way, two cousins meet each other at a jungle, not unknowingly, not suddenly, but to fight for love of Emily. In which moment Theseus catches them and suggests the idea that wait for 1 year, because in between 1 year you make your army for proper systematic fight. and the winner get chance to marry my sister-in-law Emily. So now Theseus prepare a ground for their fight, Palamon and Arcite. So in one side Palamon who prayed to Venus for win, and Arcite who prayed to Mercy for win, and in another side Emily prayed to Dinah for that the person win who actually deserve it and love her so much. So now the result is Arcite win the fight and Palamon losing the fight. So the happiness for win, Arcite make a party in where Arcite die by fall down when he sit on a horse. So before he die, he reveals a line that after my death, Arcite's line that after my death, no one better for Emily than Palamon. Now what happens here, after the death of Arcite, Theseus arranged a great funeral for him. After a long period of mourning, Palamon and Emily are married and live out their lives in a love of unbroken. So this much all about the Knight's Tale. And now the point is the Knight's Tale portrayed in the prologue is generally thought to show a man of unsold ideals, though some see him as a mercenary. It is actually shows the central idea of knighthood, courtly love, and ethical dilemmas in the literature. I hope you understand the story, and if you have any objection on it, then please drop your voice on the comment section. So God bless you. Thank you.